here in America working as a waiter in Chinese restaurants. He lived in one of those brownstones on Bayard Street in Chinatown. He lived in a railroad apartment, and each room was a single man. And like him, they would go to the post office every month, buy a money order, and send it home to their families in China. But my grandfather became an American citizen in 1947. This is his certificate, which I have framed and hanging on my wall in my chambers. And by the way, I'm sitting in chambers once occupied by Thurgood Marshall himself. It's such an honor for me to be sitting where the great Thurgood Marshall once sat himself. But by becoming a citizen, my grandfather was able to bring us here, including me, to this country in 1956. I was 2 years old then. He became a citizen. The immigration laws were finally relaxed. And this is a photo literally of us coming to America. This is the Pan Am bus at the airport in Hong Kong, and we came to this country in 1956. This is us living on 47th Street. My parents worked hard. My mother was a seamstress in garment factories in Chinatown. My father was a cook in Chinese restaurants. And in 1963, they were naturalized. And because I was still a minor, I became a citizen as well by operation of law. My parents spoke virtually no English, but they knew the importance of education and hard work. And so we did okay. We were actually admitted, by the way, as political refugees. If my parents' original Chinese passports show that we were admitted under the Refugee Relief Act of 1953, which was a statute passed to help those fleeing from communism. And my parents had been in China, fled China, met and fell in love in Hong Kong, and eventually we came here. And so I'm now an appellate judge, but for many years I was a trial judge, a district judge, and I had the privilege of performing the naturalization ceremony and swearing in new American citizens. It was a duty I very much cherished. And each time I swore in the new citizens, I told them about my grandfather. I showed them my grandfather's naturalization certificate, which I would take off the wall, frame and all. And each time I showed it to them, I would tell them the story of my grandfather, of how he came to this country in 1916, of how my father and my mother came to the country many years later, and how I, the son of a Chinese cook and seamstress, the grandson of a Chinese waiter, became a federal judge. This is a photo of my public induction to the Second Circuit. I was a trial judge for about 16 years, and I became an appellate judge in 2010. My mother was still alive then. She's with the red scarf. My dad is still alive today. They're sitting there in the front row. My wife and sons helping me put on a new robe, and I took the bench with my colleagues on the Second Circuit. So some final thoughts, and then we'll take questions. But from almost their first arrival in this country, Asian Americans faced extraordinary challenges, from outright violence and massacres to government discrimination intended to drive them back to Asia, to mass incarceration, purportedly in the name of national security. But contrary to stereotype perhaps, the early arrivals were not afraid to stand up for their rights. They fought back in the courts, bringing creative lawsuits, asserting innovative theories, invoking the Constitution as their rights were being challenged. The laborer in the pigtail ordinance case brought a civil rights case against a government official individually. While these cases are common today, this was something new, very new back then. And though he could not or would not pay the $10 fine, he wound up getting a terrific decision from an important judge. The 56 claimants in the Eureka case brought what was essentially a class action long before there was such a thing as class actions in federal court. And they did this to try and hold a city responsible for failing to control a riotous mob, long before there were theories of holding municipalities liable for failing to take action. The Chinese merchant and grocery store owner in the bubonic plague cases achieved significant victories. And my grandfather was not unlike these individuals, as he was also a trailblazer in his own right. So I've been teaching Asian Americans and the law now since 2017. I've done so principally at Fordham Law School, but I've also taught the seminar at Harvard, Yale, and Columbia Law Schools. We started a center on Asian Americans and the law at Fordham Law School. We have quite a few programs, excellent programs, and we are trying very hard to spread the word. At least 14 law schools are now offering a seminar on Asian Americans and the law, using our syllabus and our reading materials. My colleague and I published a casebook on Asian Americans and the law just this past January, the first of its kind. There's a copy on the back. I don't expect people to buy it. Law books are notoriously expensive, although this one is pretty reasonably priced. But we're hoping that as the word spreads and more schools teach it, that they will use our casebook. What's really fascinating about the area is, though, even though we're focusing on history, so much of the issues are still very important today. You heard in recent months talk about the Alien Enemies Act. You know, that was something that was invoked during internment, long-term mark, all the recurring issues about immigration, habeas corpus. And so it's very much a contemporary topic. We do want to try and spread the word to younger kids in lower schools as well, high schools, colleges. And at the center, we've done a few things. I presented to the Asian Students Club at Hunter High School. Working with Verizon, they did one of our reenactments at its offices. And interestingly, they used a high school, a public high school in Newark that is largely black. The students are overwhelmingly black, and they were doing the Korematsu reenactment. It was just a really good dynamic to have this predominantly black high school presenting an Asian American case at Verizon in New Jersey. We sponsored a video contest to try and get young kids, high school kids, to make videos about Asian American legal history. And some our friends in Atlanta came up. I think we offered a $5,000 prize, first prize, and that drew more than 20 entrants. And and I saw this book in the back as well, these wonderful drawings by this artist, and they really help capture some of the issues at play here. And so with that, thank you very much, and we will take questions.